Yeah, I have a bunch of questions. Well, something about leveraging platform, but also, you talked about you introduced this concept as frou wine talk, and then you said, well, we had a word of the day, a word of the year, and it's intentional. And then you went on like a 10-minute rant on why like probably everyone needs to come up with a word of the year. So I guess one, I don't know. So this isn't a coaching session, right? But it's like, dude, own that foo wine talk, and that it's definitely there. But I'll throw this out just as a something for you to explain it in your own words. But speedboat, cruise ship, cruise line.
Yeah, that was something that you and I worked on, and those were your words. And you have a real uh, tangible skill, like a special ability to create metaphors. And I'm sure you do it with a bunch of your clients, but that metaphor really hit home for me. And to give context, Jason and I were having a conversation, and I was perhaps boo-hooing or complaining about, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do this. And he was able to paint a picture for me in that, okay, here's Wes on a speedboat hitting waves, whipping left, whipping right, you know what I mean? Probably towing and, thinking I'm towing skiers, but it's just a rope, right? Bouncing in the water. And then I've got a team of people that are on this cruise ship trying to follow my direction, but the cruise ship doesn't turn nearly as quickly as my little speedboat does. And it was an interesting thing because I had to recognize that, like, maybe there are places that I can get on my speedboat and go have fun. Maybe there's a time that works when it's part of an intentional thing, right? But I have to be mindful that the boat behind me can't turn that quickly. And speaking of the cruise line, all these cruise liners, of which there are a handful now, they need bulk orders. They need group orders. They need a group objective. They can't be beholden to trying to keep up with me bouncing across waves and headed into oncoming traffic at times. So that that metaphor really spoke to me, and I think it's become part of our like operating procedures here at Drag Illustrated and all these different things that we do. Is I have to kind of not table, but I have to resist the urge to go full throttle on the speedboat because I recognize there are people trying to follow the path behind me. And being a little bit more, and I think that's part of growing as an entrepreneur. Like right now there's this whole movement on about being a solopreneur, right? And I think that, I mean, I'm here to tell you that you can make a big dent. One person can change things. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, throughout the course of history, there's infinite examples of people that have driven change or sparked change individually. But one of the quotes that I reference quite frequently is that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that's something that I've had to accept and put into practice, that to get where I want to go, which is like the moon, it's going to take an army, right? And we've got to go together, and you've got to create buy-in, and that buy-in has to range from top to bottom and left to right. It has to be across the board belief and commitment in what we're doing. And it goes back to like the captain of the ship knowing where we're going, having a map in place, and we've got these markers that we're going to hit in set amount of time. And if we don't, we're going to change course, or we're going to divert, or we're going to make a decision. And I think that, so there's this weird kind of magic that I believe has happened in being a relatively small group that can turn on a dime, that can pivot. Because I see tons of companies that are kind of so entrenched in what they do and the way they do it that it doesn't matter what happens in the world. It doesn't matter how buying habits change. It doesn't matter how expectations change. They're going to keep doing it the way they've always done it. And I'm sure there will be companies and brands that are able to maintain that. But at some point, you have to adapt, and you have to move with the market, and you have to, uh, I think it's valuable to be able to move and make decisions quickly, because we're in a fast moving world right now. And if you sit around and like wait for things to be perfect, or wait for everybody to sign off on everything, especially when it's a huge group, it's a problem. It can be a real hurdle. And I'm not saying there aren't large groups of people that can do significant things, but the ones that do probably have it charted out, right?
Mm.
Over, hey, there's a whole bunch of us that have to be involved in this or have to be committed to this. So it's going to take You're gonna have to plan for that. You're gonna have to have adequate time to get all those people, sold or bought in on what's going on or what needs to happen next. So I think that there's some magic in, we're a nimble operation. There's enough of us that we can do large scale, fairly large scale projects, but we are nimble enough to be able to rapidly change directions if there's a reason to change directions.